Good evening, everyone. Thank you for stopping by the Forge. Today I want to show you this awesome modern rendition of a coffin handle Bowie knife. Look at those micarta scales. This is kind of a new take on just a classic Bowie knife. So today we'll be doing some cutting, some demonstrations on how to use this, an explanation, and joining us for the whole thing will be a Smith & Wesson Model 66 Combat Magnum. These two make such an awesome pair. Not only are they similarly sized, but they're modern adaptations of older implements, older American tools. So I just love having these two on camera together. So the Smith & Wesson will be joining us for some of our demonstrations today. And you can see how these two guys can rock and roll together. It gets pretty cool. So stay tuned and we'll get into this. We're gonna have a great time. Let's start out with some of this thick leather. This stuff can be very hard to get through for other knives, but I mean, you can just blow right through it here. It really just eats this stuff up. So I love a good knife that can cut through leather smoothly. That just shows you that the edge geometry is really dialed in. So that's very comfortable. Does that with flying colors. Here we have some of our sisal rope. And again, you can just kind of crunch through this like you're cutting carrots almost. It's very sharp. And that's not just sharpness, that's edge geometry. This can be a difficult cut for some knives, but it's just very effortless here. And then even towards the tip of the knife, that is an effortless cut. So that's because of our good taper, that's because of our good edge geometry. We're just ready to go there. Bigger piece of 1-inch rope, and that's gonna be hard to do with a camera. I'm just gonna give it a shot though. There we go, just eats right through it. So the edge geometry and the sharpness is really dialed in on this. I mean, you can see that it just makes a lot of cuts with great ease. If I wanna do something finer, like getting, let's see if I can get a nice little plane here, getting some of these curlies going for a fire stick, you can totally do that. So I always want a knife to be able to cut shallow enough to make nice curly fire sticks. So you can do survival camp type stuff. I tend to like to use this, and that does a great job. So you see we just go right through there. And so again, look at that tip there. Very precise, very fine. And I'll show you a bit of how it penetrates later. But let me just show you some of the durability right now. It's like a needle tip going in here. Okay, so deep into the 2x4, keep going all day if we needed to. Look at our tip here. It is just totally unscathed. Now let's see how it penetrates. Now when I do penetration tests, you see me using old pants and cloth a lot. One, that's because if your point isn't really dialed in, it's gonna push the cloth away and not penetrate through it. Two, it's because if this is being used in a combative manner, that's actually the sort of thing it's going to have to go through. And three, just because it's what I have. So here is some of the pants, actually exact same brand I'm wearing right now, folded up, ready to go. If I just do a little, just see how easily this went through these pants. And that's just right out of the air. So let's just try that again. And again, this is just, I mean, flying through these. So far, I actually am past the choil there, so I'm catching on the choil. But this really is quite an impressive penetrator. Just pull it out that way. There you go. All right. So that was 2 1-inch pieces of manila rope, very close to the bottom. So if you know about doing this sort of thing, the higher up you cut it, the more mass there is to to kind of counterweight it so it's easier to cut through higher up. When I do something way down at the bottom like this, I'm not cheating, and I'm just kind of trying to be cheap because this rope's expensive. So I'm trying to cut as little as possible. Still though, that's a great example of the cutting power of this knife. And I don't know how fast that was. It was a lot faster than 1.5 seconds. And delivering this sort of cut and that sort of speed is, to say the least, a devastating cut. Well, now that we have an idea of some of this knife's performance, let's take it out to the range and use it in tandem with the Smith & Wesson Model 66, showing you how these two implements can mutually benefit each other in a combative scenario. All right, well, how about we get creative with all this? All right, well, everyone, obviously there was nothing truly tactical about that. I realize that was just kind of fabricated scenarios and whatnot, but it's all theoretical. Everything we're talking about here is theoretical, and that's theoretically some ways in which this knife would be a good pair with your Smith & Wesson Model 66 Combat Magnum. Now, there is something to be said for that. You are mixing different types of coordination, foot movement, trigger control, moving from a gross motor skill to something more fine with a trigger. So there are some benefits from training of that nature. It's kind of like a CrossFit type deal for the range. But obviously there's no kind of tactical doctrine going on here. This is just me messing around at my range on my property with my gear. So hope it was enjoyable nonetheless. Let's end the video with a little discussion on the sheath here. Now, this sheath, as you can tell, is kind of unique, a mixture of kydex and leather, which I think fits the theme of the Bowie knife very well, mixture of the old and the new. So how does this work? Well, this is a single fold kydex sheath, really good retention. It's just never coming out. It takes a good stiff grab to get this out. But I allow you to do that because look at the generous undercut here. So you get that full grip pulled out and you're ready to go. There's no finagling with it. Now, the way this mounts is in a canted fashion. So let me demonstrate this quickly on my belt because I think you'll like the thought and design that went into this. So this tilted profile has a number of advantages. One, it's a little bit easier to conceal. When it's tilted like that, it's not quite taking up as much real estate side to side. That tilt just makes it hide underneath the shirt a little bit better. So that is nice. But one of the other things I like about it is if it's straight sideways and you go to draw, it can slide back and forth on your belt because your force is going right in line with the strap. But because it is canted and tilted, when you draw, the force is actually going upwards, which releases the knife and allows you to draw it very smoothly and easily. So that's a quick, easy draw, no slide, no slosh in that system because of that cant. That goes for your left-handed draw as well. So this is center line here is very accessible, right-handed or left-handed. The tilt makes it nice and not slide back and forth, a little bit easier to conceal. And of course, I mean, this looks really cool. Whenever you mix kydex and leather, at least in my opinion, it's one of the coolest looking combinations you can get. So it doesn't have to go front here. You could, throw it on the side right here and just thread it up through and bring it around. And you could do something like this. I got this in the way. You could bring it over something kind of like that. That's cool, kind of samurai style over there. So there's a lot of options. I just like doing it in the front, but again, you could move it further back as well. You go scout style. So that is the versatility of this leather snap and why I designed this one this particular way. Of course, you could throw a tech lock on there, paracord. You can mount it, however you want, just normal like that with a tech lock, but I like the leather mount and that's what comes with it. Well, that's it, everyone. Hope you had a good time watching. Now, as of the making of this video, this knife is for sale on the Mars Fire Forge website. You can have this exact knife featured in the video. I'll pop it in a box and ship it over to you. So head over to marsfireforge.com to buy this while it's still available. You get over there and it's not available, no problem. Send me an email and I'll just make you one custom. marsfireforge@gmail.com. You can also check out my Instagram, that's marsfireforge as well. And of course, the YouTube page, you're already here for that. Please subscribe and hit the notification button so you can see the further videos I come out with. Love your comments underneath. Feel free to drop one of those. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks everyone for watching. And I look forward to seeing you in the forge for the next review.